We are live. Welcome to college football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Flugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please consider subscribing to our channel. If you need that little bit of extra content to get you through the off season, subscribe to our channel. Smash that like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. Share it with your priest, your psychiatrist. Share the video. Tonight we're going to talk about Arizona State's money Perch letter. Now for some of you, you're shaking your head and you're saying, what is going on, Greg? What are you talking about? We have new people joining this channel all the time. So we're going to have to take a step back and explain why we think this letter was worth, and we got the approval, was worth to put it out, to read it out to you all, because I think it's going to give context to what was said to us on January 31st, a motivation. And some of you might be saying, well, what was said on January 31st? We're going to get to that. First, we're going to do a monologue. It's going to be a short one. It's going to be about the letter. And then we're going to get to your comments, and then we're going to open up the phone lines. When we do open up the phone lines, the number is 763-260-1333. Put that in your phone, PATC phone number. Let's first, we are very grateful, very, very grateful here at Peek Around the Corner to have such a fantastic sponsor of tonight's show. Welcome to Blue Ridge Coffee Crafters. We invite you to discover the Blue Ridge Coffee Crafters difference. Clean, hot air roasted coffee produces a smoother, richer, healthier coffee that is less bitter and less acidic. Our hot air roasted coffee uses convection heat to loft the beans for a very even heat transfer. The clean, bright taste that people rave about is achieved by roasting the bean quickly and evenly while suspended on a bed of hot air. From craft to cup, hand-picked coffee beans. Give these guys a try. I'm telling you, go to the link in the description box below the video. And if you do decide to give it a try, when you order this incredible smooth coffee, if you put down PATC, if you want to support our channel, put down PATC in the comments section when you're ordering the coffee. Thank you so very much. The Blue Ridge Coffee Crafters difference. Fantastic sponsor for this show. Now, we got one more thing to do. One more thing to do before we get to the letter. We put out a poll on Twitter, and basically, we talked about in the last live show, we've been getting this conflicting reports, national reports about what does Amazon exactly want out of this Pac-12 media package. What do they want? Some reports, like Andrew Michon is saying, Amazon doesn't want a tonnage. They just want the top game. They just want the top Tier 1 game, and then maybe ESPN can get a Friday night game and a Saturday night game, whatever. But Amazon, what do they want? Some people are thinking that Amazon wants to scoop up all the Tier 3 content that used to be played on the Pac-12 network. They would put it up behind the sports-specific app on Amazon Prime. Different reports, different people, national people, all credible people. So I asked the question, what do you think? What do you all think Amazon wants? Here's my question. Continuous conflicting national college football reporting out there on how much tonnage Amazon wants in the new Pac-12 media rights deal. What does Amazon exactly want? What say you? Result of the poll will be displayed on the next PATC live show. Only Tier 1 content, 61.4% of you voted for. They only want the top. You agreed with Andrew Michon and John Aran at the Sports Business Journal Sports Media Podcast. You agree with them. 38 98.6% of you who voted for that. They want the Tier 1 plus the former PAC network content. Interesting poll results. Most of you say only Tier 1 content. I would have to agree with you. I think maybe ESPN would want that Pac-12 network content to be floated into their ESPN Plus. Just wanted to show you that poll result before we get into the story of the Arizona State Money Perch letter. And we're going to get to that right now. We're going to dive into this. Then I'm going to get to your comments. I see that I'm already falling behind. And then we're going to open up the phone lines. By the way, breaking news. Those who follow me on Twitter for many, many years, the two things I talk about are college football and UFOs. Unidentified flying objects. They don't have to be alien to be unidentified flying object. In fact, in my bio on my Twitter for years, I say unidentified Flugarian object, UFO. NORAD just shot down another gray cylinder object about 100 miles north of the Canadian-United States border, and I think that's Minnesota border, 100 miles away. And now there's about to be a possible another shoot down over Montana. The airspace has been cleared, and it's a national security event. What are these gray cylinders? Who is creating them? And why are they creating them? Because I'm going to tell you something. I've been following this for years. Someone's creating these gray cylinders because they've been around for years. Colonel Favor, the top of the line pilot for our Air Force, for our Navy, the top guy in a whole cruise Navy ship, had the Nimitz carrier, had an experience in 2004. If you don't know about that, Google it, where this Tic Tac did incredible stuff and they caught it on multiple sensors. And there was another pilot who saw the same thing that Favor did. And now we have these cylinder objects. Who's making these objects? Just want to point that out to you. There's another breaking news going on right now. Okay, this is college football. They're called UAPs now, unidentified area phenomena. You can call them whatever they want. Someone is making these things. And they've been in our airspace for a long time, and we've almost collided with them. Our Air Force, our Navy pilots have almost collided with these multiple times. Who is creating this stuff? Okay, college football. Let's go backwards. January 31st, we at Peek Around the Corner got intel from an Arizona State Money Perch who has talked to us over the years, who is an impeccable source, who's got everything right, who told us everything that was going on with the Arizona State hockey program and others, but very detailed, always correct, bam, bam, bam. January 31st, the day after the Pac-12 meeting on a Monday, he told us, I'm going backwards here because there are people new to the show watching it for the very first time tonight. We were told some information and we shared it. We had a live show on it. You can go back and watch it, the January 31st. I think it's called something like at least one Pac-12 school showed their displeasure. We have no idea, at that time, and still we don't know. Does this mean much? Or does it mean everything? We don't know, but we wanted to put it out there because we knew it happened. And maybe some other information would come to light by other people or by us that you could connect the dots. That's one of the many things we do here at Peek Around the Corner. If you're new to the channel, we do everything. Okay? We even sing fight songs on this channel. Now, the information was simply that Arizona State, someone in leadership at that meeting that took place at Arizona State University, someone showed displeasure to the commissioner and to the executive committee showing displeasure about how the process has taken place so far, about the Pac-12 negotiations. We put that out there. Nothing else was really leaked. We don't know anything else that happened in the meeting. There has been no real reports on it. And then suddenly, there has been some people reporting. We haven't communicated to any of them. I'm not going to give the names. I'll let you guys do in the chat. There's been other people saying that Arizona State's upset. They showed discomfort, however they put it, in the meeting. A third party let me know that that there's some steam to that. A person who did not report it, but a person with high credentials, very high credentials. Our source and whoever the other people are source, the direct source, are not the same person. We know that. But maybe it comes from the same source tree. That's the only way I could put it. Whatever. You can believe it, disbelieve it. And so what if they showed displeasure? Maybe everyone else did. We don't know. It might not have much importance. But we put it out there, and then lately other people are putting stuff out there that they believe to be true. So this same person from the Arizona State Money Perch sent an email Thursday night, or sometime Thursday. I don't know if it was afternoon, evening. One of BTM, or if you don't know who BTM and Associates are, just go to Flug Empire at the pin tweet, and you can read all about that. Sent an email to one of BTM Associates. And he didn't read it until Friday, which was yesterday. And then he read it. And then they went back and forth and talked. And then stuff came to me. And then I asked for permission to show the letter. Not show the letter, to read the letter. It was approved because there's nothing in there that really is in danger of showing who this Money Perch person is. Money Perch meaning someone that has supported Arizona State athletics, is not a decision maker, is not in the room to make decisions, okay? But might have a good idea of what's going on. And somebody told him that something happened in the Pac-12 meetings. So I'm going to read the email. Now, this email is not the Gettysburg Address. This you could feel the emotion of this letter. So it's not, it jumps around. It's not the Gettysburg Address. Okay, so keep that in mind. Also, by the end of this letter, and then they went back and forth and communicated, and I'm just going to paraphrase what they said to each other. But I will say that it's not a crystal ball like I put in my Twitter earlier today. It doesn't have a conclusion. It just gives context to what we believe, what this gentleman believes Arizona State is going through in this process. There's one part in this I completely forgot about. And when I read it, I'm like, it would be better if I reminded you all about what happened previous in this Pac-12 negotiation process, if I could read the letter, and that's how this came about. So I'm going to read the letter. Again, it's just like, you can tell the guy did not take any time writing it. It's kind of long, but he didn't, it wasn't like correct English was used. He's just and sent it out. So I'm going to go through the letter, give you my thoughts. Then we're going to go straight into your comments, open the phone line, and that's what's going to be tonight's show. It might not be a long show. We'll see what happens. but I'm going to read the letter right now. This is Arizona State Money Perch, what we've known for years, and people who followed us on Twitter for years know that this guy has nailed stuff over and over and over again. So, but mostly it's hockey stuff, so a lot of y'all don't care. But here we go. We are in a difficult spot. How can anyone look at this situation and not find it terrifying? If we should get something in front of us tomorrow and approve it, it would still be terrifying. Now, he's writing this Thursday, so he says if we get something on Friday, if they get a Pac-12 deal, okay. The goal is not to be the one who turns off the lights after everyone else leaves the room. If it was up to California, we would have been left in the room with 5 other Pac schools. How are we supposed to feel? We've been waiting for months to secure a deal, to secure another 6 to 8 years. Again, some of this isn't written the way I think he would want to write it if he had time or if he thought through it. We waited on UCLA and University of California Board of Regents event only to learn that Leibs, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that name correctly. It's Leibs. So I apologize if I'm mispronouncing the name. I'll go back here. The UCLA USC Board of Regents event. We waited on the UCLA University of California Board of Regents event only to learn that Leib's ambitions was to have California take to the Big Ten and leave Arizona State to flip the light switch off. Damage done. We knew they thought of us as the red hair stepchild. He didn't use redheaded. Red hair stepchild. And now they're not only telling us we're the red hair stepchild, but they drew us a picture. So, there's a lot of anger here, right? Then he copies and pastes. Now, this is an Arizona State Money Perch person who supported this athletic department for years. He copied and pasted the USA, he copied and pasted the USA Today article. I think it was written the day after the day of December 14th, December 15th. You can look it up. This was in the USA Today, and I had forgotten all about this. But this was, quote, "I would love there to be harmony amongst everybody," said Rich Leib. Again, I might be mispronouncing the name. Said Rich Leib, chair of the UC Regents. So this is Rich Leib. This is Rich Leib. Hold on one second. Oh, I apologize. My producer, Maria Hernandez Garcia, says I put the wrong phone number into the description. Okay, you know what? Let's just get that off. Sorry, guys. I put the wrong number in. The phone number is 763-260-1333. I put the wrong phone number in the screen. Okay. So what I'm reading you here is the USA Today article, which Rich Leib is saying to whoever. Reporter, USA Today. I'm going to go back and start over. "I would love there to be harmony amongst everybody," said Rich Leib, chair of the University of California Regents. "To be honest with you, I would love California in the Big Ten, but that's not where it is right now. Lieb said the regents explored the possibility of the Big Ten taking California and adding additional Pac-12 schools, Stanford, Washington, and Oregon. Again, this is Rich Lieb. We certainly put some pressure on to see if we could, he said. In the end, the expansion was not going to be on the table for us. So now the Arizona State money perch gentleman, now he goes back to his words. We were told to wait. When we were waiting, there was a plan hatched by California to pull the rug out from under the two Arizona schools. This was not Washington and Oregon. This was the California plan. Then he has a sentence that's just 3 letters. SMU, period. We are a no vote. I'm told we need to see something. Now, this is Thursday night. Okay? This was 2 days ago. So take the information however you want to take it. Then this is Saturday. This is Thursday night. SMU, we are a no vote. I'm told we need to see something good for us to become a yes vote. Today we are a no vote. What do we see? What do we get specifically out of having SMU in the Pac-12? More money? No. Tell us something specific we receive back here at Arizona State. Now, here's a surprise to me, maybe not to any of you. California is leaning yes on SMU. And this is where it gets spicy. California would perceive SMU as a more valuable, academically, economically, and more prestigious than Arizona State the moment they would enter the Pac-12. We have no issue with SDSU. We would vote yes. We are no on SMU. Everyone knows we are no as of tonight, which is Thursday night. I believe George Kliavkoff went to SMU to assure them and to assure them that they would get the votes eventually. Then he just changed topics. Check our demographics. Check Arizona's consumption of Amazon. Compare stats with other states. Terrifying. I haven't done that. I wouldn't know how to do it. If you want to do it, Google it. Maybe there's something there. Or maybe he's so upset it doesn't even matter at this point. But this puts context in around some stuff. We are also perceived, Arizona State, as the ones who brought the Pac-12 to despair because of the support we gave Larry Scott. It was a poor decision. But all the Pac-12 schools gave Scott some support. However, they did not give him the same cover after all the errors come out like we did. What are we doing? I don't know. Arizona will not leave if Stanford and California are still in the Pac-12. We won't leave without Arizona. I'm not the only one who believes we won't leave without Arizona. California tried to build a boat to the Big Ten. They put pressure on the Big Ten, and they were going to leave Arizona schools on a desert island. Now we are told once again to wait. Are we supposed to get blindsided again and tell California, thank you, can I have another? That was the end of the letter. Then there was some communications back and forth, and the Arizona State money perch gentleman went on to say, Arizona's not going to leave as long as Stanford and California in the Pac-12. Colorado's not going to leave as long as California, Stanford in the Pac-12. The only way anything gets busted up if Oregon and Washington would leave. He went on to say there's nobody that he's talked to, and he talks to other money perch people around the Pac-12. He doesn't think there's a four-corner thing going on. He doesn't even think there's an Arizona State going on. And once again, we talked about it. One of the rules of realignment, there's about 3 of them. One is the school calls the conference first, not the conference calls the school. The second one, or the first one, is realignment never sleeps. And the third one is there's a domino to this, and it starts at the top. According to Arizona State Money Perch, and according to everyone he talks to, and people are pissed at how this process is taking place. Anyone that tells you there's not a divide, it wasn't damage done during the UCLA, UC Board of Regents stuff, they don't know. I'm going to be a gentleman about this. They don't have their finger on the pulse. But also, according to the Arizona State Money Perch gentleman, he doesn't think Arizona State's going to move unless Arizona moves. He doesn't think Arizona's going to move unless California, Stanford moves, and they're not moving until Oregon and Washington. So again, here at Peek Around the Corner, I just wanted to give context to the motivation of why Arizona State spoke up. They're upset. This gentleman at least, and the people who talk to don't think they can even make a move. And this is all going to boil down to, once again, Oregon and Washington. And then we can talk about the limited options, if there's any options. But I thought that it was worthwhile to give that information in context. Now, some of you are going to say, well, no doubt, no question. Of course. But I just wanted to give, somebody who has supported an athletic department, who knows people, who's been giving us information, great information for years. Not a one-time thing, not a one-off thing. And I just thought that would give you all context to what is going on, at least from one guy's perspective and other people at Arizona State. Okay, I'm going to get to your comments. Then I will open up the phone calls, the phone line. Let's get to it. Ryan Martin, let's go. Jared Jones, we are live. We are live. Randy Taylor, live. Jeff Olson, looking live. Jeff Olson, my phone hasn't been working. So just to let you and the other guys know that. Monavision, phone number is wrong in your pin message, Greg. No future expansion without Notre Dame. I got the phone number wrong. I can't believe it. Cloak and dagger, shots. Monavision says Amazon wants to cut costs. Tony says Disney wants to cut costs. Monavision, I thought they were called UAPs now, unidentified area phenomenon. Monavision, everybody knows. Everybody knows you can't sign a media deal with NORAD is tracking gray cylinders. I'm telling you, it's a story. It's a story. Who is building these gray cylinders? I better get an answer in the chat room. Who is building them? Why are they... And they have no propulsion, no obvious propulsion. How are they moving? I know we're talking college football. So many of you probably are upset with me even talking about this. YouTube is probably going to slap my hands. But in Canada, upper northern Canada, only a northern Minnesota guy would know this. Up in northern Canada, the winds, the jet stream goes from east to west, right, which is normal. But then when you get in the waters above Canada, they go west to east. It circles like this. And some of these objects that are coming down, they're coming straight down or they're coming opposite of the wind and they don't have no obvious propellers. I'm telling you, who is building these? Why are they building them? And how do they work? And the one that we shot down yesterday, where is it? Why haven't we found it? It hit the ice. Where is it? And it shattered into pieces. It's not a balloon, not the one we shot down yesterday. And it sounds like the one today is similar to the one yesterday. And then there's reports that the pilots, that this gray cylinder thing was messing with their sensors. The one that we shot down yesterday. Who's building these things? Who? Dale Donuts. Now we would get Greg to sing a song dedicated to the UAPs. Bruce Wallace. Big Ten should add Arizona State for hockey. Lots of Big Ten alumni in Phoenix. This gentleman, he was the one who told us that Arizona State was told no on Big Ten. We put that out there. I mean, any information when it comes to Arizona State, the guy in the money purse has told us it's been dead on. So, and then he told us about what happened in that Pac-12 meeting. Maybe it doesn't mean anything. Maybe they were all upset, but it's the only nugget we had. We went with it. We told you. And then, of course, since that day, there's been athletic directors who've done a little bit of a rah-rah speech, which is fine. Arizona athletic director, Utah athletic director, Colorado's athletic director with Wilner and Casano podcast. But Arizona State athletic director hasn't said anything. And then we saw the article that came out that had 3 sources. One of them was listed as an athletic director, basically showing the story that things aren't good. Speculation, but might be Arizona State that's squawking. Might be, allegedly, whatever. We don't know. We don't know who gave that information to the athletic. But we know what we believe to know through our impeccable source. Okay. Objects are part of the PAC new media deal. Galactica media coverage. Why don't one of you guys let me know if the object hovering around Montana has been shot down yet? Let me know that. Heartline for president. Oh my God. Nice to see all of you in the house, by the way. Jesse Wilson, December 26th info. Just got shot out of the air over Minnesota. Son of Sarek, Arizona State is worried about turning off the lights during a power outage. Jeff Watson. Yep. I know you guys think I'm nuts. Something's going on. Who is sending these things? Who is building and sending these things? Son of Sarek, this letter sounds like a journal entry when your girlfriend hasn't broken up with you yet officially, but you know it's over. I had totally forgotten about Rich Liebs. I'm probably saying his name wrong. I totally forgot about his what he said when USA Today said what he said to people, reporters, about how he tried to get California, he tried to put pressure on the Big Ten, Stanford, Oregon, Washington. I completely forgot about that. And now, but other people haven't forgotten that. He's not the only guy, according to him, who's, he's not only speaking for himself here. He talks to a lot of people. So that did damage. Rich Lieb should not have said those words right after that debauchery, that stupid calumny thing, what they did to UCLA. Then he said those words that pissed off a lot of people. John Boxleitner, 1333, not 113. Man, did I get the whole number wrong? Holy smokes. Arizona schools need the Big Ten. John Coy. Son of Sarek, Arizona State can complain all they want, but unless they have a better plan, they should stay quiet. Dale Donuts, hell, I can donate $10 to Texas Tech and become a money perch. $10 won't do it. $10 won't do it. Kenner Bowman, as a Colorado fan, it's apparent that the Buffs need to get the heck out of the Pac-12. Doesn't sound like they want to. Like we've been saying here, peek around the corner, we've always said at the PATC Sportsbook, we got the slight favorite that there's no poaching, that Big 12 will not be able to poach the Pac-12. And you can see at the end of this letter and the conversations back and forth, you can see, just this guy's emotional outlet describing how they're stuck. They're stuck. Arizona State's not going to move without Arizona. Those are his words. Now, maybe you disagree. That's fine. Put it in the comments section. He also said Arizona's not moving without Stanford and California. They're not going to the Big 12. You can disagree with them. Put it in the comments section. Yeah. So basically, he says this thing only unravels with Oregon and Washington. There is no other thread to pull. Jay Pume, Arizona State thinks they're Stanford. Nope, they don't. That's not the point of the letter. But according to this gentleman, Arizona State's not moving without Arizona. And Arizona State is very upset about basically everything that's going on. John Coy says Arizona State, call your mark. John says, Don Boxleitner, thank you. Can I have another Animal House? I'm sorry, Jason. I didn't see your super chat right away. I apologize to you, sir. Thank you so much for your generosity to help us keep the lights on here at Peek Around the Corner. We appreciate it. So we all know the Pac-12 media deal would be less money than the Big 12. Pac doesn't seem to care. What will it take to jump? How much money difference? I don't think the money difference has anything to do with this, Jason. For a Pac-12 school to jump to the Big 12 and from our guy at Arizona State, it would have to be Oregon and Washington. For this to happen, it isn't about the money. The money isn't going to make Oregon and Washington jump because no one's going to be able to give the big. They might get a little bit more from the Big 12, but they're not going to lose their association with Pac-12 universities for a few $1 million. What could, the danger, and we've said this from day one and repeat it over and over and over again, and also on Twitter, is the fear of this deal, this non-traditional deal that they're about to sign, where most of their or their top level content is tier 1 content is on Amazon. There is fear with that. There is. I've had great conversations on Twitter with Tony Altamore and other people, and I'm telling you, we at Peek Around the Corner, while we say that the favorite, the chalk is the Pac-12, will stay together, we're also not going to ignore the reality that there is fear in this media deal. Fear. And once in a while, fear makes you do something out of the box. So, Kliakov, I can't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. He's got to get a deal done because sooner or later, that fear is someone's going to say that's it. Oregon and Washington, probably. Oh, I'm sorry. Monavision. I apologize, Mr. Buckeye. You had that question earlier, and I didn't put it up for some reason. I think you're talking about the SMU. The 3 yes votes would be California, Oregon State, Wazoo. I have no idea. He didn't go down that path of who would vote yes, who would vote no. He clearly has had conversations with other people at Arizona State that signifies that Arizona State isn't lovey-dovey with the idea of SMU at this time joining the Pac-12, because I think Arizona State wants something. They're not happy, and maybe they're just taking out on SMU. But and then he made a comment about how California they're very upset with the University of California. That was made clear to us. Just because 3 of the 4 four-corner schools were rah-rah to state doesn't mean they still feel the same way today. You're correct, Bowman. I mean, that was a while ago. Things can move, right? Things can move on us. According to this gentleman, Arizona State is a no for SMU on Thursday. Are they a yes on Monday? You're absolutely right. Maybe Colorado's having second thoughts. We don't know, but you're absolutely right. We're just giving you the information that we think, that we know is credible, to put it out there. And if anything else comes along, it helps to connect the dots, if there's any dots to be connected. Overall, sounds like some anger, justified, but maybe not as fractured as some may have been leading us to believe. UA won't leave Stanford, California State. Yep. I agree with you, Go Rams. There's division, but it doesn't sound like, if this gentleman is correct, if his perception is correct, is if where he sits at the Arizona State money perch, which is pretty high up, is correct, if people share the same basic perception as him, is this thing only unravels if Oregon and Washington are the ones who pull the thread. Now, we've speculated on that. People in the chat room have talked about it, right? You've heard it. But this is coming from someone who talks to not just Arizona State money perch. That's what they truly believe. Even though he is so frustrated, at the end he says, but basically we're stuck. Unless Oregon, and he gave the reasons why, and it's up to Oregon and Washington. If they pull the thread, the thing unravels. If they don't, it's not going to unravel. And Stanford and California, they're very important. Schools want to be connected with them for obvious reasons. Go Rams. That said, the longer there's no deal, as PATC and others have said, tinfoil hats and theories will fill the void. Monovision goes back, and those 3 are in the most precarious position. Arizona State, Oregon State, Washington State. MD White says, did you see Wilner's hotline quote saying he thinks Pac is dead by the 230s and the Big 12 and the Power 3? I did not read that. If you can, send me a link or just copy and paste it, because copy and paste what he said and send it to my Flug Empire. DM me. If you can do that, I appreciate it. Ryan Martin, sounds like the same gripes the H8 had about Oklahoma and Texas for years. Now Cal is doing it without the brand or success to justify it. Jeff Watson, your mark is the best athletic director possible to get something done. The Big 12 does not have a Stanford, but they do have passionate fans in Central and Eastern time zone with many more money and exposure. I'm going to get to the phone calls. I'm going to open up the lines. Give me a moment. Hold on one second. Okay, the phone lines are open. 763-260-1333. When you call, the floor is yours. You can talk about anything you want. Anything you want in college football. And also, you can tell me what is going on over the skies of Montana. Have we shot down that fourth object?
Call from
Ryan Martin.
Ryan Martin, thanks for calling, sir. The floor is yours.
Good evening, good sir. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. We got gray cylinder objects in the sky, but I'm doing okay. I'm surviving.
Sounds good to me. All right, so I have a couple things that I kind of want to touch on. I touched on them a little bit in the chat, and you read some of those comments. But the first thing I want to do, I haven't really talked about yet, and that's I kind of want to help clarify for everybody the timeline behind the letter. So my understanding is that this letter was sent sometime during the day on Thursday. Which,
yeah.
In the middle of all of the news coming out, the Athletic article.
Yeah.
We're talking about that stuff. Sent before the news about OU Texas and the Big 12 and everybody coming together.
I think that's safe to say.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure, but yeah, I think so.
Okay. And then for the rest of that, the communication happened on Friday after all of the Thursday news.
Yep.
So, okay. I just wanted to make sure that everybody had the order of events.
And then we got the approval today. To read the letter. Yep.
Yeah. So, first things first. I think all of that is very interesting. I think some of the way some of the timing comes up, that minds might have been changed Thursday night with the OU Texas deal. That there is something is going to kick everybody in the seat of their pants over this, and it's going to make some of these regents understand that they are in the same situation that the Hateful Eight, the Big 12 schools were for the last decade with OU and Texas. That OU and Texas have run roughshod over the Big 12, and honestly, probably a little legitimately justifiably so, because they were the biggest brands. We had to keep them happy, to keep them around. I don't think that's the case for anybody other than maybe Oregon and Washington within Arizona or within the Pac-12. I think that Cal trying to run the show is going to rub a lot of people the wrong way, like we've already seen it happen, as evidenced by the letter. But part of me can't help but think that there's going to be something that happens in the coming weeks, whether it's a crappy deal, they can't get consensus on expansion candidates, or legitimately what I think your Mark's first move should be is convince the Big 12 to invest in their security and their future by inviting San Diego State as an expansion member, and say, look, we'll invite you at a full share and kind of cut the legs out from under the pack a little bit in Southern California. Because then it becomes very, very easy for Arizona State and Colorado, who had to live with the same kind of BS that that Cal is trying to pull now in the pack. That's one of the reasons why they left. They wanted to get away from Texas and OU, who were pulling all the strings and fighting constantly in the Big 12. to make a long ramble short, I think that Arizona State, Arizona, Colorado, to a lesser extent Utah, are all in the same position that the Big 12 schools were with OU and Texas. And I think legitimately that something is going to happen to make them realize that they're the ones who have all the power here, that they can go to a very similar situation. Well, not a similar situation, but a similar situation monetarily, but be part of a group that is in it together for the long run and not have to deal with the BS there with divas at Cal and Stanford. And I don't know. I think there are people who are frustrated and ready to get it done, whether it's a deal that keeps the pack together for the short term or the long term, or the pack just fractures and something else happens to cause that. I don't know, but I'm leaning more towards the other way than you are. I think you know that after the last couple of phone calls too.
Yep.
But I don't know. And maybe I'm just letting my survivor's bias as an Oklahoma State fan for years, having to deal with the same BS. And finally being able to be in charge of our own destiny and our own future. It's very, very exciting as a fan. So,
all right.
That's all I got.
Great phone call. Thank you so very much, Ryan. I appreciate it. Like always, please call again. Outstanding phone call. There's a lot of comparables between the Oklahoma State situation, the Big 12 situation of years gone by, and what most of the Pac-12 schools are doing right now. Thank you, Cameron B., for your donation to the show. I appreciate it. I appreciate your generosity. UA and Arizona State in a prisoner's dilemma. Yeah, we've talked about that. I just find there's a lot of points in that letter that we read off at the start of the show, but at the end, according to the Arizona State money Perch, he says, we're not leaving unless Arizona leaves, and Arizona's not leaving unless California, Stanford leaves, and none of them are leaving unless Oregon and Washington. So, according to a person pretty close to the situation, not a decision maker, but he people tell him stuff. He's the Oregon and Washington seems to be the thread that can unravel it, and basically nothing else will, according to him and other people that have talked to him. Okay, again, Cameron, thanks for the donation. I appreciate it. Get back to the comments. Medi White says, Cameron, that pretty well says it all. Ryan Martin, great phone call. Can't agree with you more. Having Oklahoma, Texas leave is like a great weight has been lifted off the Big 12 shoulders. Dale Donuts, ask Greg. I've been saying Oregon State, Wazoo should leave to get out ahead of the others instead of wait to be regulated. Don't think they're going to have any options to leave going anywhere. They're going to stay in the Pac-12 until it dies, and it's not going to die. Even if there is some poaching going on, it's not going to die. We've talked about that last night. But Oregon and Washington, they're the ones that are going to have to pull the thread, according to the information we received and we shared tonight. MDE White, Wilner. Our best guess is that the college football will have 3 conferences by the mid-2030s. Big Ten and SEC, each with 20 to 24 members and a fully revamped Big 12 that spans the country and includes most of the remaining Power 5. Middle of 2030s, right? That's what, 12 years from now? That's an eternity. I would say, if I had just a wild guess, I would say there's 4 conferences. I do think the ACC is going to get picked apart, but I don't think the ACC is going anywhere because there's only so many universities, athletic programs that are valuable enough to go to the Big Ten and to the SEC. And then there's some that are going to remain that are big markets. And ESPN, they've built that ACC network out. They were the sugar daddies for it. The Big 12 doesn't have that. I think it's going to be the Big 12, ACC, Big 10, and SEC. But we're going to have 5 Power 5s. We're going to have 5 Power 5 conferences, 5 autonomy conferences until at least 2025 because of the playoffs, expanded playoffs. They've already agreed to all this stuff. So we talked about it last night, even the worst case scenario, a wild, crazy scenario that no one's predicting. All these Pac-12 schools get poached, or most of them, and there's only a few remaining. Pac-12 will still live. They will still live. They'll take some of the Mountain West schools. But everything changes in 2026, or possibly everything changes in 2026. We've talked about that over and over again at Peek Around the Corner. It's hard to say. I mean, we don't even know what's... The ACC situation, think about this. Everyone's talking about the gap, the revenue gap between ACC, Big Ten, ACC, SEC. And how could Clemson and Florida State, Miami, Florida, North Carolina, and Virginia, how could they put up with this? It hasn't even started yet. It hasn't even started. I mean, the impact hasn't even begun. SEC's new media deal starts in 2024. Big Ten starts here in 2023. The checks haven't even started rolling in yet. The money gap, it hasn't even started yet. And once that starts, then, there's pressure on those schools and it hasn't even begun yet. And when it starts, things are going to get... And again, Peek Around the Corner. We're going to be very careful what we say here on February 11th because there's a story brewing. We believe in the grant of rights. We know the strength of the grant of rights. We understand it. We've been talking about it for years. We get it. We understand. We don't even believe in the dissolution theory. We can't quite go into that yet, where 8 teams can go vote and break apart the ACC. We don't even believe that a school could pay themselves out of getting out of the ACC Gore, because first of all, the ACC doesn't even have to accept it. The second part is if they pay themselves out here in mid of the 2020s, they're not gaining anything because they just gave the ACC $500, $400, whatever $1 million. But there's still a story brewing. And I'm going to leave it. I'm going to put a bow on. I'm going to tie it up up this way. There's going to be desperation. And in desperate times, you contemplate desperate acts. And that's the only thing I can say as of right now. Yeah, I'm sorry. Jason W., thank you for the super chat. I'm sorry I'm so slow in the super chats this evening. I apologize to Jason and Cameron. Big 12 power move. Offer Washington State and create chaos and mayhem. Don't think that's happening, Jason. Don't think that's happening. But thank you for the donation anyways. Washington State, they're not going to be targeted by the Big 12. There's a lot of Washington State, Oregon State comments in the section. Darian Taylor, thanks for coming in. University of California Regents tried to get California, Stanford, Oregon, Washington in the Big 10. Arizona State and all other Pac-12 felt left behind. Not shocking. They're upset, but Arizona State supported Larry Scott to the bitter end, and that's exactly what this gentleman said. He acknowledged that. He acknowledged that Arizona State provided cover for him when others didn't. It's exactly what he said. And no, the Arizona State money perch guy is not Darren Taylor, but they're saying the same thing. And there's other people that the Arizona State money perch, I mean, it's not, he's saying what he believed, what he feels, his emotions, first of all. He's giving you what he thinks really caused pain to Arizona State, what California attempted to do, while they're sitting waiting for this UCLA event to get completed. But he's also talking about other people think in the same way that he is thinking. Big money people. So this is sort of a consensus right now. And Darren Taylor wrote it out perfectly. And I think it was worthwhile to get this part out, just like it was worthwhile to get the January 31st part out that Arizona spoke up. But it sure seems like they're stuck unless Oregon and Washington pull the thread. And who knows if, and then, Arizona State might not be the beneficiary of that action by Washington and Oregon if they would pull the thread. Cornelius Green, nice to see you in the house, sir. I appreciate you. Remember the name, John Mernado. He was the commissioner of the Big East who rejected a TV deal from ESPN and Pitt and Syracuse. It feels eerily similar to George Kliavkoff today. Very good point. Very good point. Was there an offer sitting there during the exclusive window negotiations, at least from the ESPN part of it? Was there a deal that Kliavkoff could have taken?
Call from
Moen.
Moen Vision is in the house. Mr. Buckeye, the floor is yours. What is on your mind, sir?
Well, that letter was quite something, Greg.
Yeah.
It occurs to me that the Pac-12 is essentially a loveless marriage, and Oregon State and Washington State are the kids. They don't love each other anymore, but they can't afford to get divorced, and they're staying together for the kids.
Wow.
I mean,
yeah.
It is what it is, but I mean, we used to talk about Washington and Oregon wouldn't sign a grant of rights right now, I think the only two schools that would sign a grant of rights that had any teeth to it would be Oregon State and Washington State.
You know, the thing about the grant of rights is something's going to be signed. There's going to be a grant of rights signed, but it's like it's the penalty phase that's going to be weak. It's going to be weak.
Yeah,
it's just
there's going to be some escape clause or some
it's going to be
exit.
Weak. Yeah,
right. Yeah, it's not going to be something like the ACC signed or
we've been told. Nope. Yep. So we'll see.
Yeah, but I just want to put a damper. I don't think anybody's leaving for the Big 12, short of Oregon State and Washington State.
Yeah.
They're going to sign whatever deal's put in front of them, but really that's just a terrible situation to be put. I could certainly feel for Arizona State, Arizona, Colorado, Utah.
Yeah.
You know, and I had mentioned that at the time when California came out and said that was a really terrible thing to put out in the public, that you were basically stalling to try and get yourself in there at the expense of your other conference members, you know?
Yeah, and we covered it, but I forgot about it. And then it's like, what? It's like at the time they're either going to block UCLA or they're going to put a tax on them. They're delaying this over and over again. George Kliavkoff had to, delay, I suppose, negotiations. We didn't think he really had to do that, but he did decide to do it. And these schools are waiting, and previous to all that, they saw the Big 12 cut in line. And then they hear this guy, this Board of Regents, true, but still applying pressure on who? The Big 10 to take all those four schools. For Arizona State and other schools to hear that, I did not pick that up at the time. Maybe you did and others, but I didn't. It didn't register to me. And then I read this letter, and it's like, holy smokes! Of course they're pissed. Of course they're upset. California tried to leave them high and dry. I mean, California's got to do what California's got to do. But in the context of California forcing this delay, the Board of Regents with this UCLA fiasco, right? It was in that context that they were doing this to Arizona State. And Arizona State could have gotten screwed. And Arizona, and Colorado, and Utah. And this guy hasn't forgotten it. And people around him haven't forgotten it.
Yeah, I mean, with Oregon and Washington, we found out a couple days after we knew officially that USC and UCLA were leaving, that Oregon and Washington were trying to get out, and then they had the meeting with the lawyers. I mean, at least Oregon and Washington were stabbing them in the front.
Yeah.
And Stanford, the only thing we really heard about Stanford was they briefly mentioned discussing conference realignment in a backdoor session. But it was even just kind of a cast-off thing. The California Regents basically said, we were trying to negotiate a block of California, Stanford, Oregon, and Washington. Now, whether or not he was authorized to have that with Stanford, Washington, and Oregon, regardless, he was, he basically laid it out for the whole public to see, and it was just, I completely get where they're coming from, but I just wanted to add that I think whatever, they're going to sign whatever they sign, but the grant of rights is going to be an extremely weak grant of rights.
Yeah.
At any point, somebody could just bolt from that conference and it can crumble. So I'd look for probably a 5-year deal that they're probably going to sign with Amazon. You're probably going to get a Friday prime time and a Saturday prime time game. They'll use the tonnage at some point to make up some of the sports for that app, and they might get 26, 27, 28 million. And I don't think they add SMU. They probably got enough support to add San Diego State, but I think they'll probably freeze at 11. I don't think that they're going to add another school beyond San Diego State.
Yeah, I still think they will, but man, after listening to that, I think there's probably a pretty good divide between the support that San Diego State is getting versus SMU. After, I think one's a lot easier to stomach than the other. But again, Arizona State's only one vote, and as this guy said, their vote could change, but man, they got to get something. He's pretty strong on that point. Like he's talked to people like, no, we're not for this unless we get something, whatever that would be. I have no idea. He can't, he's not the only one sending an emotional email out right now or an emotional text, right? A lot of people.
Oh yeah.
There's.
Yeah, if I'm with any of those four corner schools, I'm staying. But anything that Cal wants, I'm not giving it to him.
Yeah.
Cal says we want SMU. I'm saying nope.
Yeah.
Cal, whatever Cal wants, I'm just saying no automatically. And then when Cal, it's like, well, like I said, loveless marriage, Greg.
Loveless
marriage.
Good, very good.
All right, Greg.
Very good analogy.
I'll get off here and let somebody else have the floor.
Huh?
I said, I'll get off here, let somebody else get the floor. There's a gray cylinder flying over my homestead here, and I'm going to
Okay, I got one question
take
for
shotgun
you.
out and take it.
I got one question for you. I got one question. You still there?
Okay. Yeah, I'm here.
Are you starting to get nervous about the Gophers going into Buckeye country and defeating you guys in the second to the last week of the season?
No, Greg, and don't take offense to that, but no.
All right. Okay. All right.
All right. Keep an eye out for the cylinders, Greg.
That's the problem. That's the problem with you all in the chat room. You don't fear the Gophers. You don't fear those gray cylinders up in the sky. Man, I tell you what, you guys got a big blind spot. Big blind spot. Son of Sarek, LOL, no. That's a golden nofer. Wow, they're coming out of the woodwork at me. Coming out of the woodwork. Okay, let's get back to the comments. Phone number is 763-260-1333. Once again, someone in the chat can let me know if there has been have we shot anything down over the skies of Montana since we've been on the air. Please, someone get that information. Put it in the chat. Thank you so very much. D5 Terps Flug's percolating story has to do with the ACC. Something's brewing. We can figure this out if we all put our heads together. Even if you did, I would not confirm nor deny, Mr. Terps. But thanks for coming in the house once again. Appreciate it, sir. D5 Terps, Cal wants the Big Ten. Presidents would probably love to have them. They're an elite academic school, but the money would have to work. Big Ten letting stream and bake for 7 years. Then we'll move to it. That could be. We'll see how it works with the Pac-12. Sean's saying, maybe if there are benchmarks set in the gore or in the exit fees, maybe some schools like FSU were promised certain things. Cornelius Green, I wish the Pac-12 would have partnered Comcast in Pac-12 networks instead of going it alone. Mona Vision says the Gophers need to be worried about Wisconsin and Luke Fickell. Yeah. You know who's got the axe? Do you know who's got the axe for 2 years in a row? Do you know? The first time since 1993 and 94. Do you know who's got the axe 2 years in a row? The Minnesota Golden Gophers, baby. So Fickell, bring it. That's all I got to say. Bring it. Dale Donuts. Gophers might have a chance against the Buckeyes if the Ohio State swim team plays football instead of their football team. You know what? I lost my. Well. No! Jesse Wilson, those gray cylinders have been spotted in a bunch of places, and they've been spotted for years. For years. Medea Flugar. There she is. There she is. The moderator. The little general. She rules with an iron fist. Sky you ma. Sky you ma, baby. Sky you ma. Sean saying Montana airspace is open, only shut down for a short time during the Canadian. Oh, okay. Well, there was an object. There was an object over Montana shortly after the Canadian shoot down. Or the jets were scrambled. Maybe it wasn't another gray cylinder thing. Gophers had their best shot to beat Iowa this past year. Not looking good for the Gophers. Well, if we're going to put logic into it, you're absolutely right, Lee. Absolutely right. Correct. Gophers pushed Iowa all over the field the last few years, but they lose to the Hawkeyes. Gophers are going to take a step back this year. But it's not about logic, Lee. It's about passion. And maybe that's why they call me Greg the Cooler, because I don't use my brain. I use my heart. Greg, did you try invade Area 51 with everyone's... No, I did not. No, I did not. I'm innocent of all that. Oh, Iowa's going to be salty this year. With that same offensive coordinator... Cade McNamara, sure, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm not big on Iowa this year. There's a video of something being shot down. Looked like a striking meteor. All right, I need more information on that, Daniel. I need more information on that. Daniel is also interested in this subject. Him and I have been going back years at Twitter. Are you talking about there's a video of the object being shot down in Canada, 100 miles north? Someone give me some information.
Call from
Tristan Fives.
To accept, press.
I'm sorry, I didn't get the name. Tristan?
Fives.
Five?
Fives. Phibes.
Got it. The floor is yours, sir. The floor is yours. What do you want to talk about?
Oh, I wanted to ask you, if it turns out that FSU is able to find its way out of the ACC, what are the odds that it's going to go to the Big Ten versus the SEC?
Of course, this is speculation, right? Speculation, sure. But I think it has. I think it largely depends on how they get out. If they get out, okay, so it largely depends on how they get out. Like what pathway how do they get out? I can't really get into more on that. How would they get out? Now, if it's at the end, if it's at 2034, 2033, 2032, a few years before the gore runs out, just like with Oklahoma and Texas, then it's wide open. I mean, wide open. SEC, Big Ten. If somehow, some way, they were able to find a way out, it depends on how they do it. And
fair enough.
I can't give any more than that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I understand. In my opinion, I think that there's people talking about this whole concept of dissolution, which is not going to happen, in my opinion, at all.
No.
But there might be one other way out that people aren't really talking about. And I think that the sovereign immunity possibility might be there. The concept of it is simply that, and I know I'm not a lawyer, and this is just kind of putting it in a nutshell, but basically a state cannot be sued or a state agency cannot be sued unless the state legislature provides permission for them to be sued. And these grant of right agreements that these state universities are signing, they are not being ratified by state legislatures. So I think that theoretically there could be a pathway out of the conference based on sovereign immunity. But I don't know the details of that. I don't know how anxious they might be to get out. Certainly FSU, I think, is desperate to get their revenue up. I don't think they can go another 7 years lagging their Big Ten and SEC rivals by $30 million a year.
Well, if Florida State is very aware of their situation and would be aggressive if they could find a way.
Right. Now, I'll just pass along a little information. There's a source that I trust who has communicated to me that if it turns out that any schools leave the ACC for the SEC, that the 4 targets or the 4 primary schools that they would want to move would be Florida State, North Carolina, Virginia, and Duke.
Who the SEC would target?
Well, the SEC/ESPN.
And you said Florida State, North Carolina, Virginia,
University of Virginia, and Duke. Now, from an SEC perspective, I think that the top 2 targets that they care about most are Florida State and North Carolina. Florida State, because a second school in the state of Florida would be unbelievably valuable, just as having a second school in Texas is. North Carolina, because it's a huge state. It's the largest state that doesn't have a school in the Big Ten or SEC. And then, of course, any school in Virginia, which would be Virginia Tech or the University of Virginia, that's a brand new state. Either one of those universities would be acceptable. And then I think Duke for the basketball, because the SEC needs assistance with their basketball product, to be honest. And keeping Duke, Virginia, and North Carolina together would keep those schools happy. Florida State would be able to keep up revenue-wise, and if somehow all of this were able to happen, that would be the most optimal move that the SEC and the ACC and ESPN could make.
I'm going to say yes. On those 4 schools, what call it educated speculation, just call it speculation. Yes. What you said is absolutely correct. Florida State, North Carolina, Virginia, and Duke. If the time ever comes, as of now, like could change years from now, but as of now, those understand those would be the 4 top SEC targets. So whoever to talk to you is absolute, from my call it an opinion, absolutely correct. You take that however you want.
Well, I do appreciate it. I enjoy your show, and I respect what you have to say, and I appreciate you talking to me.
Thank you. Appreciate the call. Excellent phone call. Real good phone call. Real good phone call.
Call from
Ryan Martin.
Ryan Martin is in the house again. What do you got to say, sir?
I just kind of want to piggyback off of what the last caller said, and I don't mean to burst FSU fans' bubbles by any means. I know that the sovereign immunity thing keeps getting thrown out a lot in regards to a lot of things. I know it was successful in an instance to kind of get out of paying, the Texas Tech head coach, to get out of paying him and his contract because he was a state employee, yada, 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 sovereign immunity, that kind of stuff. It worked there. But that's Texas, and that's not everywhere. So, again, piggybacking off what he said, sovereign immunity is the concept that states have to allow themselves to be sued, right? And by and large, most states have a sovereign immunity statute that express allowed to be sued, and it limits what they can be sued for. Most of the time, that is tort law. That's a police officer, or I guess in this case, a state trooper ran over somebody, and drove their police cruiser into a mailbox. The state could be sued for their liability in replacing that. That's limited under tort law.
Okay.
The other thing here at play here is contract law. Not only is there a federal contracts clause within the United States Constitution, all of the states have one too. That by and large, the federal government and the state governments cannot just unilaterally ignore a contract. That they have to guarantee the contracts that they enter into. And this would be one of those instances where Florida State University signed a contract with the ACC for their grant of rights. No level of constitutional one-upsmanship or gamesmanship can get them out of that. It would be a question for, probably state Supreme Courts or even the federal Supreme Court. But at the end of the day, the sovereign immunity way out is not really a thing.
Got it. The only thing I'll add to that is the story that we're supposedly working on, that's brewing, has nothing to do with sovereign immunity or contract laws or anything of that nature. So it's been brought up in many times, and like you say, that's not part. That's just not how our rule of law works. Yep. I understand.
That you have to guarantee the contracts that you enter into. Otherwise, if the state can get out of a contract that it wants to get out of, then if I enter into a contract with a private entity, what's to say that I can't go to court and sue to break that? So
now,
without some sort of
now
whatever.
I want to be clear. The story isn't about state sovereignty and all that stuff. However,
don't get yourself in trouble, man.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if I can.
It's about a certain kind of something.
Yeah,
that has something to do with something else.
Yeah, it isn't. The story isn't like. It's not about state governments, state sovereignty. It's not even about ESPN. It's about individual schools, and it's not even about dissolution. So it's not about that. It's not about collusion. There's another thing that people quite don't get to, but we're going to get to it this spring. So stick with us, okay? No matter if the
All
story
right.
ripens or not by the end of the spring, we're going to tell you the unripened version before the spring is over. We're not going to hold up forever. That's for sure. Okay?
Mark your calendars, folks.
Yeah.
He's telling us he's going to tell us something by what, man? I don't know when spring is over. I
don't know either.
remember that anymore.
Well, Minnesota Springs, that doesn't
What,
quite
July?
end for quite a while. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Now, I forgot who sent me the video of something being shot down. Was that over Montana or was that over Canada? There's a video out there. Looks pretty cool. Again, according to the chat, doesn't look like we shot anything down in Montana. Okay? All right? Okay? Again, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Please subscribe. You get notified of a next live show, or we do episodes maybe 3 or 4 times a week. We do watch parties. We're going to be doing watch parties of key spring football games. We're going to evaluate these teams once again. We gave our way too early predictions for what have we done? The Pac-12, the Big 12, and the SEC. We're still going to do the ACC. We're still going to do the Big 10. It's going to hurt me when I predict my Gophers are going to take about a step and a half back from the last few years. We do all of it here. We sing fight songs. We don't really talk about gray cylinders in the sky, but we had to do it tonight. So subscribe to our channel, smash that like button, share the video with your family and friends, and if you want to donate to the channel, just hit that $, make a comment, even if you're ripping on your host, and we'll put it up on the board as soon as possible. Rebecca, Tony, best time machines are built in Canada. Don't you know? Don't you know? John Freed, UFOs equal fallen angels, and they've been here since creation. They are the great end of time deception. Hi, we are your space brothers. We seeded you millennia ago. John Freed coming in with the steam. John saying, hit that like button if you haven't. Brian, who's worse, Joe Biden, Klikoff? We do not do politics here at Peek Around the Corner. That's a big no-no. Big no-no. Okay. Sean saying, North Carolina alumni very much considers itself Southern. If it was just based on alumni, they would go SEC in my opinion. Oh, that was me. Yes, Ryan, that was you. Canada. Ooh, that was the one over Canada. Okay. I gotta know what those gray cylinders are made out of. Hopefully they can. It sounded like that might have fallen into the indigenous people. They're in Yucatan, Canada, Yukon, Canada. Hopefully they can get to some of those pieces. I know they're having trouble finding those pieces off Alaska of last night. I want to know what's made of. I want to know how it flies against the wind and it can hover in the skies for hours. 40,000 feet in the air. Come on. Who's building these things? No one's given me an answer yet in the chat room. This elite chat room college football community. Tweet has been since deleted. Tumasa says the earth is flat, bro. Well, maybe the chat room isn't as elite as I thought. I know you're joking. Flight Radar 24 shows a look at live planes, and there's a balloon showing on the radar. Fight in Illini, Ted says, let me get out my tinfoil hat first. Fine, get it out. Put it on your head, Illini. Put it on your head. Let me know who is building these things. My goodness. This question has been around for years, and finally the mainstream media is getting a handle of it. It's been going on for years. So I expect my elite PATC chat room to have the answer before the show is over. Who's building these things? Rebecca says Soviet Union built it all. Don't think Russia can build these things. Okay, what's worse, gray cylinders or George Kliakov? Oh my. Sorry, watching Washington softball. Rebecca, big game versus the reigning, defending, undisputed national champs. Russia can't build it, but Soviet Union can. All right. Okay. Phone number 763-260-1333 if you want to call in. At the start of the show, we shared a letter, Arizona State letter, Arizona State Money Perch letter, talking about the feelings, the emotions, the reality. The reality at the end of the letter saying Arizona State is stuck unless Arizona moves first. And according to his opinion, the people who've talked to, Arizona can't move unless California, Stanford moves first. And they're not moving unless Oregon and Washington move. So it's all about Oregon and Washington pulling the thread, lighting the fuse. If they do not, the Pac-12 is going to remain, and they are still the chalk, the favorite to remain.
Rebecca Salisbury.
Rebecca's in the house. She's got the answer. Who's building these gray cylinders?
I mean, Greg, there's only one place that can do it. The future. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, geez, I was going to say you're right, and then you say you're kidding.
I mean, it's like, I already subscribe to the fact that there may be time travelers. I don't want to prove that it's right, but I subscribe to that. Right?
Okay.
No, I like. Is this like the thing that was shot down over Alaska yesterday, and then there was another one shot down today? Did I miss that?
Yeah, it sounds like the same. And these been around for years. These been around for years. Our pilots have almost hit them many, many times, and now we're shooting them out of the sky when we see them. I'm so interested to see what they're made out of, and if they can track it to a state-sponsored country making these, or some rich person out there somewhere making these, because they're all over the place, and it's not just around the United States. These are being seen constantly. So,
I mean, as somebody who was in the United States Navy, I never saw anything remotely like these. Like, never saw them. Like, but I wasn't a pilot, but I was a meteorologist in the Navy. But I was like,
but the Navy is the leading military group that they're the most open about it. They get reports out. Air Force is very secretive. The Navy's very aggressive on this. And you know about the 2004 Nimitz situation? Yep. If you haven't,
I was in the Navy in 2004. I heard about that.
Yeah.
Through people who were on the Nimitz.
That is the most, in the chat room, check out 2004 Nimitz, Google it, and then think about what is going on right now. I don't think there's different levels to the stuff. These objects, in the Nimitz case, they were moving at incredible speed. They have it on multiple sensors. These cylinders are just floating. It's probably not the same thing, but it's all about this gray cylinder, tic-tac shape. So put in tic-tac, 2004 tic-tac, Nimitz. Put anything like that in Google. Colonel Favor, the great pilot, he saw it. He chased it. The thing just took off. He had no chance. There was a pilot with him, a lady pilot, who was basically training with them because he was He was the best pilot on this in the Nimitz. He was the commander. What do they call it? The Black Aces.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I'm done. I'm done yammering. Go ahead, Rebecca. The floor is yours.
Oh, I came in really late. I just wanted to say tonight is a crazy night. Huskies versus Sooners.
Yes.
Two ranked teams. Always a great battle. I don't have a lot of faith in my Huskies because we don't have a great pitching staff right now, but we have some hitters. But I do want to say, I just want to say, like, there's a lot of rumors out there, and I'm being told by people that some of the rumors out there are being spread by a PR firm. I don't think it was hired by the Big 12, but it definitely sounds like the Big 12 hired a PR firm to kind of spread some propaganda.
Some disinformation. Are you saying this?
I'm saying what?
Are you saying Cloak and Dagger?
I'm saying Cloak and Dagger.
Yes. There you go.
I've been drinking for the last couple hours.
Okay. All right.
I went cider tasting, Greg.
Yes.
It was a great day.
Good.
I was supposed to spit. I drank. Motivision, no Big Ten expansion unless they feel pity for Oregon and Washington.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, there's a lot of misinformation out there. I actually got into Twitter beef with people about ESPN dropping their contract. That is actually being spread by the West Virginia guy, that ESPN pulled their contract offer for the Pac-12, which I'm like, if that were the case, we would have absolutely heard about it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of things.
Yeah.
I have heard, I don't know who it is, but I have heard that Amazon is not the primary streaming partner. I heard that today from a friend in the UW athletic department.
Yeah.
Amazon is not the primary streaming partner, but I have no idea. He wouldn't say who it was. I have no idea who it is, but it opens up a plethora of ideas. I have heard that it's potentially Paramount Plus that wants the inventory because they can actually put the games on there and stream it all times of the day.
That's CBS.
But I'm not sure. And CBS sounds like they want one game because they have.
Yeah. I mean, CBS owns Paramount Plus. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Correct. But CBS also only has one. They have the one game with the Big Ten, and then that's it. CBS does not care about Notre Dame. They want to go after some viewers in the Notre Dame time slot. So they may be going after Pac-12 to try to cut into a couple of million views for that game.
Yep.
Depending on what time of day it is, but also they may be targeting the SNL broadcast because there is a 30-minute time slot where they could fit it in, and they would actually take the viewers away from SNL. So I have heard that today. That sounds pretty legit if you think about it. SNL is a big deal. If you can pull a couple of million viewers away from that, and you're in CBS's shoes, that's not a bad idea. But go Huskies, playing the Sooners tonight.
Got it.
Big softball game.
All right.
Can't wait. Thanks, Craig.
Thank you so much for the phone call, Rebecca. Appreciate you.
Yeah. And for Motivation, no big fan.
Yeah. Anyways, we're going to close it up for tonight. We've been on the air for an hour and 47 minutes. We were on the air for 2.5 hours last night, 3.5 hours the night before. But we are going to close it up. We appreciate you all from coming in. If you're new to the channel, before you leave, please subscribe to the channel. Smash that like button and share the video with your family and friends. It's been a joy to talk to you about college football, about the Arizona State letter from the Money Perch. If you want to listen to it again, just go to the video, go to the front of it, listen to it, and continue to put down your thoughts and comments. I read them all. And we're going to be sticking with this story. Like all the other stories, we still got to talk about the ACC unequal revenue plan. Wow. Is that a train wreck? Woo! So we're going to talk about that as well. So stick with us until next time. From all of us at Peek Around the Corner, to all of you, please, you all take care of each other. Thank you so